Welcome to the Elevate Podcast, your resource for all things business, brand, and leadership. We are excited you have decided to join us today.
Hey everybody, Robert Kalin here with the Elevate Podcast. We are back in the studio. Excited to be here today. We've got Mike Newman, who you guys know.
Great to see you guys.
And my new friend, John Sweet.
Howdy.
It's good to have you here, man.
It's good to be here.
Yeah.
It's sweet to be here.
Yeah.
It's a sweet day.
That was a good one.
It's a sweet day. So
Yeah.
the first thing I want to talk to you about is your book.
If you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. Thanks, CJ. Yeah, it's I'll just give one little teaser to the book. It's the final chapter talks about 5 keys to loving your wife. Yeah, that's all.
That's awesome. I love it.
Wow, I'm writing that down.
Yeah.
Take notes, you guys.
The book does not
this is gonna be a
exist.
Great
Yeah.
conversation.
It actually costs $99 if you want to figure that out.
The book doesn't exist. It costs $99. Check his link in the bio. And
That'd be the best $99 ever made.
right? But really, we're here today to talk about you and your business, get to know you a little bit. So if you could just share with us, like, who's John Sweet?
Yeah, I'm a photographer based in Tacoma. For everyone that's not from this area, I always say from the greater Seattle area because they have no idea where Tacoma is.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been doing photo now for full time, I believe, like the last 8-9 years, which is wild to even say out loud. Started with coffee, and that translated very easily into the photo business. Started on my iPhone, and Instagram took off. I was meeting a ton of friends that were doing the very same thing, and a friend of mine bought me a camera, and he just believed in what I was doing and invested into me, and the rest has been kind of history. So
Wow, that's amazing.
I do all different kinds of work, from weddings to commercial to travel gigs to music industry. Literally, I've never niched down. It's always
Yeah.
been something where I've always niched out, not down.
Okay.
Because I do think that a camera can make you available for literally anything. And I never want to position myself away from an opportunity to hang out with people. So
That's amazing.
cameras are a pretty great tool.
You just said 2 things that I want to take back really quick. First is you started on an iPhone.
Yes.
You started on an iPhone. Okay.
Yeah. So in the early days of Instagram,
Yep.
no one was really using their cameras to then import images on Instagram. Everyone was just using the devices that they had in their hand. And so we were just utilizing that and then the tools that were also available on the phone to then create imagery and make things that were somewhat common to the eye. Like, we weren't doing anything that was crazy. And I'll use we a lot in that conversation because it wasn't just me doing this. Like, I'm not going to say that I was the only person.
You didn't
That's not
invent
true.
Instagram?
No. Nope. It is. That's one of my favorite things. Is
Author
that it's,
and Instagram inventor John Sweet.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I just had the time of my life doing it. Like, I was literally creating friendships with people all over the world because of the platform.
Yeah.
And they were all doing the same thing as me, or in likeness to.
Mm-hmm.
And we just had a blast. Like, we just created fun stuff all over the Pacific Northwest, and now that it's expanded to the world, which is really, really cool.
So what I love about that is just the idea of starting with what you have, right? Every single one of us has something that we can start with, whether, to get into business. Doesn't have to be go buy the newest, best equipment, highest end, whatever that looks like. You have something that you can start right now.
That's good.
Oh, 100%. And in the photo world too, I even say this to people that aren't photographers. I can never change how someone views the world.
Mm-hmm.
And the phone is actually a tool that puts everyone on an even playing field because everyone has a camera in their hand. And moments that they capture, moments that they hold on to, like, I can't duplicate.
Yeah.
But the only thing that's really changes me from someone that's doing everyday shooting like that is that mine's just evolved, and it's catered to people's experiences and what they want covered in a professional way, which is, there's just a level of professionalism that got involved into my tact versus it just existing on an everyday platform. But it's like, I can never duplicate something that you see.
Right.
Because how you see the world is so individualistic to you.
And I think that's an important piece, though, is that it's evolved over time. And, when you started this, if you knew what you were going to be doing right now, you might have just been like, "Ooh, that's too much for me."
I definitely never saw myself to be a creative.
Yeah.
My brain doesn't operate like a true creative. My brain is definitely more on the business side. That's where I like thrive, is on that side of the business. But I fell in love with creating.
Yeah.
Like that part, like actually like going to do, like I really fell in love with, and it's not just something that I get tired of doing. It's like I love it. Like I thrive off of it. It's a passion. Like I really enjoy it. And also like people's reactions to it too. Like people lose their mind, and it's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
So, John, you started with an iPhone in your hand, and now you're a successful photographer. There's got to be some stories in between of successes and failures and challenges that you've had to go through to get to where you are. Share a couple of those with us, would you?
Gosh, well, I mean, a lot of it has been just all trial and error because I'm all self-taught,
Oh, okay.
right? So it's I would go into scenarios like completely deer in headlights. So it's like I'll explain a scenario. I was shooting an album cover for a friend of mine, and this was the first time I've ever done anything in a studio. Like I literally had no idea what I was doing, completely oblivious. Like I walked into this place literally over my head. I should not have been the person in the room. Just based on, if you were to look at my work, or if you were to look at anything that I've done, it shouldn't have been me. I wasn't qualified. But my confidence sometimes replaces my like actual skill, and that's where like I walked into that room and I was like, I'm just gonna do it. Like I'm gonna have fun while I do it. I'm just gonna enjoy it, and I'm gonna hope for the best.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it turned out amazing. My friend really loved what came from all of it. He had an incredibly successful record, and it was fun to be a part of the whole process. But my confidence replaced my inability, like, or at least for what I saw as inability, because I knew so many people that would go into that job. They would literally know everything of what to do, but the worst case scenario for me would be to fail. And I just knew that even if I did, like I would just learn from it, get back up again, and then move on. But that's one scenario where I just knew it wasn't. I other ideas of failure to me are really unique in my business because I've never seen them as failures, because I've changed that word in my business. I've changed that word in my everyday life. I've changed it to just opportunity. Failure to me isn't something that I hide behind. Failure isn't something that I look at. It's not something that I greet in my world.
So how would you help somebody that has that fear of failure to overcome that and change that to be an opportunity? What advice would you give them?
Well, you could have toxic positivity like me. So that's one aspect that you could try to finagle. But I think a lot of it is mindset. This is one thing that's helped me a ton in my life and in my journey, is I just have to wake up in the morning and decide for myself, and that helps me with where I'm at mentally. And so if I am greeted with failure, I know that my mind's in the right place. And so if I wake up to decide to just conquer it and go through it and just like actually put forth the energy versus like letting failure compromise me. I never want to let failure compromise who I am as a person, versus just have the adversity to go through it. And that all comes with the mindset, in my opinion. So if you are struggling with failure, and my suggestion that I would leave for you would be to just wake up and decide that it's not going to dictate your world.
Yeah, that's good.
So is there something you do, John, in the morning to help you decide? I mean, is there a routine or something that you go through?
Yeah, I think I'll go back to where it started for me. It was I used to put reminders on my mirror. Okay. Because the mirror is usually the first place that you go to. It's like you go to the bathroom, you go pee because you've slept all night. I'm sorry. Humor is a big part of my world. But it's like you do your normal morning routine, but the next thing you do is you look in the mirror.
Right.
And so the first thing that I would see is things that help define me. One of which I have on my wrist now, but it's is scripture. Okay. And so every morning I would wake up and I would look at scripture, and that would help me moving forward in my day and help creating that mindset. And now I'm just in a routine. Yeah. It's like my routine is to wake up. I've already reminded myself of that enough that it's just part of my world. Yeah. But I think for everybody, you can have different strategies to get there. Do I know what that looks like for every individual? No. But what I know is that if you can find that rhythm and that strategy for you, it can help you with your mindset every day, where you don't necessarily have to have that reminder every single day.
That's good.
Things like that. But
Yeah, super important to have the right mindset. You know, I think it could keep you from success, right? If you don't have the right mindset. If you wouldn't have decided, hey, you know what, I'm going to take a risk. I might fail. I don't know, but I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it my best, give it my all, and navigate through that adversity if something does happen. That's huge. So there was a second piece that I wanted to pull out of the original thing that you said, because you said that somebody bought you a camera.
yeah.
Somebody believed in you enough. They saw something and then kind of helped you take it to the next level. Tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, I was shooting on an iPhone.
Yeah.
So like anything is an upgrade in terms of like being in a professional environment.
Yeah.
So it was like I didn't feel comfortable like showing up to a wedding to like with an iPhone. I didn't feel comfortable like showing up to these commercial gigs with my iPhone. Like the first commercial gig technically was with my iPhone, and I was shooting for like the Sounders. So it was like crazy gigs. It's like things like that where you're just like, you don't like, I was walking into territories that were completely unknown for me.
Right.
But I just didn't waver. I just did it. That's just part of the game. If we're gonna give it a title, like I'll just call it a game. But it's when my friend bought me a camera, it was the hard reality that like not only just because I had a following on Instagram, it was like people in my actual world were like, hey, I believe in you. Like this is something that's far bigger than what it looks like now. I went modest with it too. Like he was like, whatever, like I want to invest in you, whatever you want. I was like, I went to the first tier of a professionalism camera that wouldn't actually do everything that I needed it to do, but it was the first step to getting me where I needed to go. And it was just because I knew that he was investing in me, and I didn't want to be crazy with it. It's like I didn't want him to spend $4,000 on me. So I just like, he donated $500 to my world, and it changed my life.
That's amazing.
So it was
It's pretty
crazy.
incredible what one person can do for another.
Yeah.
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 You know.
And it challenges me all the time. I look at people in my world and try to find ways to believe in them the way that someone else did in me. And that's gone full circle in my world so many times. From the game of basketball to making coffee to doing whatever I've done, is I've had people that have believed in me.
Yeah.
But the best thing about generosity is you leave both your hands open. You don't close one.
Right.
It can't stop somewhere. It has to keep going.
Yeah.
So it was when I was beginning to learn that, it changed a lot for me, because now I've been able to help out so many people in my world, and which has been great.
That's super cool. And just a testament to, you know, all of us need somebody to believe in us, you know, and if you don't have somebody in your circle, maybe start thinking about getting a new circle. Be around people who are going to encourage you. You know, that's where success starts, being in that circle of people who believe in you, who can take you to that next level. So you're talking a lot about your Instagram. Where do people find your Instagram handle?
Yeah, my Instagram handle is John Taylor Sweet, no H in John.
John Taylor Sweet, no H in John, Jon.
TaylorSweet.
Nice. That's awesome. I was looking on it earlier today, and I loved the vibe. Like, your photos are phenomenal.
I appreciate that.
I'm not like great at Instagram, I'll be honest. Like, I don't have all the, I don't even know what you call it, highlights. But I was like really impressed when I went to your Instagram and was just looking through some of the photos, and you guys, if you haven't, go on Instagram. If you don't have an account, it's worth logging into Instagram for the first time to check out John Taylor Sweet. And give him a like, give him a follow. You're going to want to follow his story. Amazing individual here. We're blessed to have you in the studio today. Thank you for sharing your story and really giving back to the community who's listening on the other end.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
Yeah. Awesome, guys. Well, hey, that's it for the Elevate podcast today. We will see you next time.
Thanks for joining us today on the Elevate Podcast, your resource for all things business, brand, and leadership. For a deeper dive into the content and to get access to resources like our free show notes, go to countercultureleaders.com/podcast and sign up for our newsletter. Hey, don't forget to like, rate, and review and subscribe, and share this content with your friends and colleagues. This is Mike Newman, looking forward to seeing you next week.